There are a handful of simple things you can do as a woman that can make a man completely melt in front of you, and I'm willing to bet you're not doing most of them. In fact, you're probably doing the exact opposite right now. That's why he's not opening up, why he's not really chasing you, and why he's not giving you the emotional connection you actually want. Here's the wild part. These 4 gestures are so simple, so natural, that when I tell you what they are, you're going to think I'm making it up. You'll probably think there's no way something that's small actually works, but that's exactly why they work. Almost no woman really does them. I'm going to walk you through these 4 feminine gestures that make a man's defenses crumble. I'll show you why they work on a deep psychological level, how to see when they're actually working on him, and how to do them in a way that feels natural and real, not fake or manipulative. Before we go into them, I want you to do something. Drop a comment and tell me what country and city you're watching from. And be honest with me. Do you think a few simple gestures can really change how a man feels about you? Or do you think it takes way more than that? I actually want to know because it helps me understand where you are and how I can help you better. The biggest thing most women get wrong about men is this idea that more love and more attention is what makes him open up. When you like a man and you want him to feel closer, what do? You probably try to show him how much you care. You text him more. You ask about his day. You try to be there for him whenever he needs you. You compliment him. You make yourself available all the time. You think if you just give him enough love and attention, he'll finally open up and give you that same energy back, right? But here's what really happens in his brain when you do all that. His nervous system doesn't read it as pure love. It reads it as pressure, as expectation, as someone who needs something from him. And what does a man do when he feels pressure from someone who clearly wants more from him than he's ready to give? He pulls away. He creates distance. He goes quiet. And you're left confused thinking, I was so kind to him. I gave him so much attention. Why is he acting cold now? This is not your fault. No one really teaches women how men actually process emotions. You're told men want a woman who is kind, caring, always there. But that's not what makes a man feel something deep, lasting, and addictive around you. A man's brain is wired differently from yours, where you connect through talking, sharing, and constant closeness. He connects through something else entirely. Men have been wired for thousands of years to respond to certain signals from women, not just words, not obvious I like you actions, but very specific gestures that hit something ancient in his brain that says, she's different, she understands me, I feel something around her that I don't feel with anyone else. When those signals go off in his head, he can't help it. His walls come down, he starts chasing, he starts opening up, he gets softer with you without even knowing why. That's what we're talking about here. The 4 gestures that flip that internal switch in his brain. Once you understand them, you'll see why the men who ignore most women end up obsessed with the very few women who actually know how to use these. So let's walk through exactly what these 4 gestures are and why they work so powerfully on almost every man, no matter what type of guy he is. The first gesture is what I call the unbothered pause. And this one is the hardest for most women because at first it feels completely wrong. Here's what it is. When he says or does something that would normally make you react, explain, chase, or fix things, you pause. You don't jump in. You don't rush to fill the silence. You just wait a second. I'm not talking about ignoring him or playing childish games. I'm talking about giving yourself 2 or 3 seconds before you answer. That's all. 2 or 3 seconds where you breathe and let the moment exist without instantly reacting. Why does this work? Because men are used to women reacting instantly. He takes 4 hours to text back. You probably send another message. You stare at your phone wondering what happened. He says something that hurts your feelings. You respond right away, trying to explain yourself or make him understand. He pulls away a little. You chase harder. But when you pause, when you don't react like every other woman does, something happens in his brain. He notices his nervous system actually wakes up. He starts thinking, why didn't she reply yet? Is she okay? Did I say something wrong? Is she talking to someone else? That tiny moment of uncertainty makes him focus on you in a way he wasn't before. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about training yourself not to be so reactive. When you're unbothered, when you're not jumping at every small thing he does, it sends a powerful message. I'm okay with or without you. I'm not hanging on every move you make. I'm my own person. That is what makes a man lean in. Men don't chase women who feel already caught and fully available. They chase women who feel like they have a life, who might slip away if he doesn't show up properly. The unbothered pause creates a tiny bit of space that makes him wonder, makes him work for your attention instead of assuming he owns it. That leads straight into the second gesture, the soft boundary. And this is where most women completely lose themselves. You think that setting boundaries will scare him away, make him angry, or make him lose interest. So you don't do it. You let things slide. You accept behavior that doesn't feel good because you're afraid that if you speak up, he'll walk away. But here's the reality. When you have no boundaries, when you allow a man to do whatever he wants with no consequence, he doesn't respect you more. He respects you less. And when a man doesn't respect you, he does not open up to you. He doesn't get tender with you. He just takes what he can get. A soft boundary is different from being harsh, controlling, or dramatic. It's not, you better do this or I'm gone. It's more like, hey, that doesn't really work for me. I need it to be different. And then you stop. You don't give a 15-minute speech. You don't over-explain or apologize for how you feel. You say it clearly, calmly, and you let it land. When you do this, most men will test it at least once. They'll push a little to see if you actually mean what you say or if you're just talking. This is where you have to follow through. If you set a boundary and then let him cross it right away because you're scared to lose him, you just showed him your words mean nothing. But if you calmly stand by it without being dramatic, he starts to see you differently. You become the woman who knows her value, someone who isn't desperate, someone who clearly has options and standards. That makes him want to rise up. It makes him want to do better. It makes him softer with you because he realizes he can't treat you any old way and still keep you. Men don't value what they don't have to earn. They value what has standards. The soft boundary shows him you're not just another woman willing to take anything just to keep a man around. You actually respect yourself, and that makes him respect you. Real. Emotional connection starts with that respect. Now let's go to the third gesture, because this is what takes everything to another level. After you've been unbothered, after you've set a boundary, after you've shown him you're not like every woman who chases, begs, and accepts anything, you do something that completely catches him off guard. You show him softness, but not the usual kind of softness that comes from people pleasing or from trying to keep him happy. I mean, a deeper kind of softness that comes from strength, not from fear. I call this the unexpected softness, and it completely shifts how he feels around you. Here's what it looks like. He's had a rough day. He's quiet, a bit distant. Instead of taking it personally, instead of pushing him with questions or trying to fix his mood, you lightly touch his arm, or you look at him and say, I can tell today's been hard. I'm here if you need me. And then you don't push, you don't dig, you don't force him to open up. You simply offer that little moment of warmth, and then you let it be. Or maybe he shares something vulnerable with you, something real. Instead of jumping in with advice or instantly relating it back to yourself, you just say, thank you for telling me that. That's it. No big speech, no drama, just presence and acknowledgement. Why is this so powerful? Because most women swing between extremes. They're either too soft all the time, over-giving, over-chasing, over-explaining, or they go too hard, acting cold and distant to protect themselves. You're doing something different. You're showing him you can hold your own, you have limits, but you're also capable of real warmth and real care when it matters. That combination is magnetic to men. When he sees that you have boundaries and standards, and then he also experiences your gentle side, his brain reads you as rare, as special, as a woman he can't replace. The unexpected softness shows him that your boundaries aren't about punishing him or playing games. They're about creating a space where honest connection feels safe. And when a man feels that strength and softness together, he opens up in ways he doesn't with other women. Now we come to the fourth gesture. This is the one that usually seals the deal. I call it the pleased silence, and almost nobody understands how powerful it is. Most women feel like they need to fill every silence with talk, with questions, with jokes, with something. You're scared that if things go quiet, he'll think you're boring, or you'll think he's bored, or you'll feel awkward. So you talk, you keep the energy going. But all that talking actually creates pressure. It makes him feel like he's on stage, like he has to keep up, like he has to entertain you or else you'll lose interest. He can't just relax and be. The pleased silence is the opposite. It's when you're with him, things go quiet and you don't freak out. You just look calm, content, happy to be next to him, even without words. Maybe you're in the car, maybe you're on the couch, maybe you're out somewhere and the conversation slows down. Instead of scrambling for something to say, you breathe, you relax your shoulders, You might give him a soft little smile, look at him, then look away again. You're not staring, waiting for him to perform. You're not fidgeting with your phone like you're uncomfortable. You're just there, present, pleased. This does something huge to a man's nervous system. When you're at ease in silence with him, when you don't need constant attention or reassurance, his body relaxes, his guard drops. He feels, I don't have to be on with her. I can just exist. Most women make men feel watched, judged, measured. Like every second is a test. You make him feel like he can simply be human, think his thoughts, be quiet when he needs to, sit in peace. That feeling is incredibly rare for men. And when a man finds it, he doesn't want to let it go. The pleased silence shows him you're confident enough in yourself and in the connection that you don't need constant noise to feel secure. You're genuinely happy just being there. Your happiness isn't hanging on what he does every second. When a man feels that from a woman, when he can finally relax without pressure or judgment, that's when his walls really fall. That's when he starts showing you a softer side you may have never seen before. Now, why do these 4 gestures work so well together? This is where the psychology kicks in. When you use the unbothered pause, you tap into something called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same thing that makes gambling addictive. When he doesn't get your reaction every time, right away, his brain starts paying more attention to when he does get it. He values it more. He works for it more. When you set soft boundaries, you trigger his natural drive to step up. Men are wired to pursue challenges. When you show him you have standards, and not just in words but in action, you become a challenge worth rising to. His brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical that fires when he's chasing a goal or winning something. When you show unexpected softness after being strong, you create emotional range. You show him you're layered, real, not flat, not one-dimensional. Complexity is attractive because it keeps his interest. He wants to see more, know more, understand more of you. When you give him the pleased silence, you activate his rest and relax part of the nervous system. When he's with you and doesn't feel pressure to perform, his body literally calms down, breathing slows, tension drops, stress goes down. He starts connecting you with peace, safety, and comfort. These aren't tricks. They're not sneaky tactics. They're natural feminine gestures that we've moved away from because we were taught to be constantly available, constantly chasing, constantly proving. They work because they're aligned with real self-respect and real understanding of how human connection actually works. When you do these, you're not pretending. You're just allowing a healthy dynamic to exist between you and him. So how do you know when these are actually working on him? His body will show you before his words ever do. There are specific involuntary signals that tell you he's softening, that his walls are dropping, that he's starting to feel that deep emotional pull. First, he starts initiating more. He texts first, he calls, he suggests plans. Before, you may have been the one pushing things forward. Now you notice him putting in effort because suddenly he's scared to lose his access to you. Second, his voice changes with you. It gets gentler, more relaxed, less performed. Men often speak with a certain edge, trying to sound confident, funny, cool. When he softens, that edge fades. He talks to you like he talks in his own head, more honest, more open. Third, he shares more of his inner world. He tells you about his day without being forced. He brings you his worries, ideas, dreams, random thoughts. He starts inviting you into parts of his life he doesn't share with others. Fourth, his body language shifts. He leans toward you. He finds small excuses to touch you. His shoulders drop when you're around. His face relaxes. He holds eye contact a bit longer. He doesn't feel like he has to protect himself from you. Fifth, he starts talking about the future with you in it. Not big marriage speeches necessarily, but simple things. We should try that place next month. Remind me to take you there sometime. He starts making plans that assume you're still around. Sixth, he gets a tiny bit jealous when other men are around you, even if he tries to play it cool. You'll see it in his questions or the way he watches you or in those small ways he claims you without being obvious. This isn't about toxic jealousy. It's that subtle sign he cares and doesn't want to lose you. Finally, he says simple, honest things he would usually keep to himself. Like, I was thinking about you today. I missed you. I really enjoy being with you. These aren't big dramatic declarations. They often slip out casually, but they show he's not guarding his feelings so tightly anymore. Around you, saying what he feels starts to feel safe. Now, how do you do these gestures without feeling fake, forced, or like you're running tricks on him. Because if your intention is, I'm going to use this to control him, it will not work. He'll feel something is off. So how do you make this real? First, it has to start with genuine self-respect. The unbothered pause only works when you're actually okay with or without him. If you pause on the outside, but inside you're obsessing and panicking and checking your phone every 2 seconds, he might not know exactly what's wrong, but he'll feel the anxious energy. But if you pause because you truly have a full life, friends, goals, hobbies, things that matter, you won't be sitting there waiting on his every move. You're not pretending to be busy. You're actually busy. You're not playing hard to get. You just aren't easy to lose because you value your time and your peace. Second, your boundaries must come from what you honestly need, not from a script. Don't invent random rules just to test him. Set boundaries around what truly affects your well-being, your time, your feelings, your self-respect. When your boundaries are real, they carry a different energy. He can feel the difference between a woman playing strategy and a woman who actually honors herself. Third, your softness has to be real too. Don't try to act soft when you're actually hurt, angry, or checked out. That's fake, and he'll sense it even if he can't explain how. But when you genuinely feel warmth toward him, when you see he's struggling and you honestly want to give comfort, let that softness show. True softness comes from real care, not from fear of losing him. Finally, your pleased silence must come from being comfortable with yourself. If you sit in silence but your mind is screaming with anxiety, your body will show it. Fidgeting, nervous laughter, checking your phone, he'll feel that something's not right. But if you've done your inner work, if you've learned to enjoy quiet moments in your own life, that peaceful energy will naturally show up with him too. That's when silence becomes powerful instead of scary. Here's the secret. These gestures are not really about him. They're about who you are being. A woman who doesn't need constant validation to feel good. A woman whose standards come from self-worth, not from fear. A woman who can be soft because she's strong enough to be vulnerable. A woman who's okay with quiet because she's at peace with herself. When you become that woman, it doesn't just change one relationship. It changes how men treat you across the board. You stop chasing. You stop begging for clarity. You stop twisting yourself into shapes, trying to be what men want. You show up as yourself, clear, grounded, real. And that energy is rare. Men respond to it without even knowing why. The wrong men start falling away on their own. They can't play games with you because you won't stay. They can't use you because you have boundaries. The right men step up. They show you effort, consistency, care, respect. You don't have to ask, does he like me? His actions answer that question for you. So next time you're with a man you like, remember what actually makes him soften, not your constant availability, not you bending over backwards, not you shrinking yourself to keep him comfortable. It's you showing up as a woman who pauses instead of reacting, sets gentle but firm boundaries that matter, shows real softness from a place of strength, and is comfortable enough in herself that she doesn't have to fill every silence. That is what makes a man melt. That is what makes him open up. That is what makes him feel, I can't lose her. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 gestures feels like it will be the hardest for you to do right now? Is it the unbothered pause because you're used to replying straight away? Is it the soft boundary because you're scared he'll leave if you speak up? Is it the unexpected softness because you've built walls and don't know how to lower them? Or is it the pleased silence because quiet moments make you nervous? Write a comment and tell me which one you're going to work on first. And if you're serious about stepping into this version of you, type I'm becoming her in the comments so I know you're actually committed to this. If this opened your eyes or gave you a new way of seeing how to connect with men, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We're building something real here, a group of women who are choosing to show up honestly, to respect themselves, and to build genuine connection instead of chasing male attention. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to learn, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.